when they say Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
it's a fraud. So you see that of,
right.
No, as soon as you see that of, which is a preposition,
right,
which means a substantive connector. But understand in that context, just like you would say the Constitution for the United States is the organic.
right.
Constitution of the United States was adopted by the operatives of the corporate entity after they murdered Lincoln for exposing this stuff and for bankrupting that United States corporation company in France, which he ran on because being a lawyer, he could not run for the president of the organic United States because of fatwa or Moorish law, because the Constitution comes from Muslim law, which Obama told you when he went to Egypt. So you got to understand, because the barristers of England have been enforcing the secret Treaty of Verona by Constitution, organic Constitution, this is the original Article Amendment 13 with what is called the Nobility Clause, that they only give in secret societies, but they don't give in schools. This is where lawyers cannot hold an office in the United States. So Lincoln was run on the United States Service Corporation in France that Benjamin Franklin had set up in 1754 to later deal with the blending of the Union. All right, that's the agreement between the Moors and the Christians to set up a political system as a beacon light for the rest of the civilized world, to stop the hundreds of years of wars between the Muslims and the Christians. That's what the United States organic really was. This is the reason why when you see, George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, that's the Moorish flag. That's the red flag with the 5-pointed green star. It's called the cherry tree. You understand? So that's what the overthrow. And George Washington converted our estates into the states. That's why he was given the designation father, although he was actually the 9th president. You got to know the real history, distinguished from what you've been told in the school systems. But once you know these things, this stuff is pretty simple to figure out. You just got to give people reference points. Once they give you the reference points, or many people get them in secret societies, they're not going to tell because they got deaf oaths. But for people who know the real history can talk, that's not bound by deaf oath. But this stuff is researchable. It's not, anybody that dig deep enough, they can find it. But, you're not going to get it openly. They're not going to talk about this stuff openly. Because, some of the first people that might be hanged from the local telephone pole is the so-called spiritual guy that they thought is working for their people that got that corner parish that they boiled. He might be hanging from the pole. When they find out that he's the one been informing it, Rome all the time, keeps a dossier on all the people. Then now they put ATMs in the buildings. So make sure you pay them taxes. And they think that Jesus got a bank account at Chase Manhattan. Jesus ain't got nothing to do with that. That's between them and Rome. But anyway, let's go down. But the point is that you can see that the Pope is consistently separating the land from the corporation. Are we clear? But let's go down the bottom. You all can look at this. Most of y'all have this stuff anyway. You can find it on the internet. It's not hidden. Now this goes for people who are selling packages, like UCC packages, and making people think they can buy their way into the Global World Trust and get their hands on this bottomless spit account. Let's see what the Pope says about the estates. And this is the nom de guerre, transmitting utility, idiom sonus, demand of straw, idiom sonus, transmitting utility, etc. Nom de guerre, all relating to the uppercase that they send to people on the mail. Right. All right, that's the idiom sonus. Okay. That's access to the World Trust.
Is that the estate too?
Huh?
Is that the estate of strawman? Is that the
that same thing. Idiom sonus, listen. Idiom sonus, nom de guerre, transmitting utility, man of straw, straw man, are all the same thing. It is the indicator of the Global World Trust administered by local corporate entity operators. All right? So, when they're sending mail to a house that you think is yours, that's your shared property, they will have all capital letters. That would be the idiom sonus. That will be the dead at sea. All right? And so that's a declaration that when you agree to be that and start paying its debt, that's tacit acquiescence to sanctioning the Roman operators on your land. This is why the Pope is separating, making it clear to separate that. All right, now, people who know part of this history will not give all of the history. They'll tell people, you got contracts out there, so you're going to do these UCCs and dissolve these contracts and get a hold of this CUSIC number and get your hand in this bottomless pit account. You know, well, this is what I have to say about that. All these estates, small case, and estates, uppercase. See, those who know this know what they're looking at. People who don't know wouldn't even know, why are they putting that there redundantly? See, he's talking about the idiom sonus, the unum sanctum. All right. All these estates and estates erroneously believed to represent the American states and the American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America, minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United Nations, are revenued without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens, where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries, i.e. the true Americans distinguished from the corporate Americans who've been occupying the land. So you got to know the difference. This is why they must get you to sign papers and say you're a U.S. citizen, because you just accepted the debt. Do you understand? When there is no debt. You got to understand this. Now, all legal fiction entities, however structured, so that means all the idiom sonus, Manstral, non-legier, transmitting utilities, however format they structure them in. Here we go. All legal fiction entities, however structured and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf, quote unquote, by officers of the United States of America, Incorporated, small case, and the United States Incorporated, uppercase, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America, minor, or the United Nations city-state falsely claiming to, quote-unquote, represent them or have jurisdiction over them. Are we clear? Because it can't be bought, because it's an estate, it's an inheritance, it can't be sold, it's unalienable. So people know that people who don't understand real politics make them think that you can buy sovereignty or buy your way into the global world trust and get control of this bottomless pit fund. No, you are an heir. You got to talk heirship. But guess what happens if you're not your proper person? This is where we are. Getting our people in their proper person. You don't need to pay anything. It's a birthright. And as soon as you start agreeing to these processes, you let them off the hook. That's why they put them out there. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This is why Ali said to the Moors, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. It's an heirship issue. But if you don't know the history, you think, because somebody makes a beautiful argument, that you can buy it with some UCCs or financial statement. And what you do, you give them your energy, and they rape you while you're learning, because they ain't giving up nothing. Now, keep this in mind with anyone who's selling packages or buying packages. In law, keep this in mind. There is no clerk of any governmental office anywhere on planet Earth that has any authority whatsoever to release original documents to anyone. Under certain legal processes, they can afford someone who lawfully requests through a process a certified copy. of some legal instrument, but they will not give up the original instruments, whether birth certificates or anything else, because they're bank bonds.
Authentic.
All right, now, yes. Now, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So now, in order to be a holder in due course, which is the position that must be claimed in any estate or right of property, you must be the holder of original allodial title, deed, mortgage, with its promissory note attached and never separated, and it must be original. And without that, you can't be a holder in due course. And if you're not a holder in due course, you have no claim. So this idea that people think they're authenticating birth certificates, again, is another time-buying fraud. Are we clear? When you understand the principle, Islam, give it a mic. Give it a mic, y'all. Give it a mic, y'all.
Islam, Brother Taj. I listened to what you just said about being a holder in due course.
That is very important.
Of your birth certificate. But I have my original 8.5 by 11 framed birth certificate with my mother's.
No, this is what you have. This is what you have.
Okay.
What you have is a secondary instrument. They have the original.
Okay, well I have the one from 19...
Now just think this.
That's 55.
This is what occurs. This is what occurs. They take the original certificate, and it's also called a birth record. So they take the birth record and they do a chart. So it's an automatic. So they do a chart, which is what you actually should do. So do the chart according to Circle 7. Circle 7 is the zodiac operations of the womb.
Okay.
And so with the time your mother gave you birth, location, they'll look at the moon, they'll look at the ascendant, they'll do a chart, and then they'll use that chart against you when they attack you in the future.
Oh, so they do a natal chart right there.
We're talking civilization. We ain't talking about what people believe. We're talking about real workings, how things really work. They will never give you the birth record. They give you a birth certificate. A certificate is a sale instrument. People, this is why we got to tell people what law is.
Mine does say record.
Yeah, well, good. But I'm just saying, the birth record is not a birth certificate. People need to understand a certificate is a note for sale. Now, this is the deal. When they first create the instruments, see, and this is even more particular attention is paid to it after 33, after Franklin Delano. See, because remember, after Drew Ali crashed the United States Corporation before, Delano Roosevelt set up another United States shell. And then he backed that one with the birth certificates. That's when that took place in 33, you see. And so they've been paying close attention to that, even more so after 33. So there is no instrument of anyone that their mother gave birth after 33 that is not bonded and on the stock market. They do it to their own because they ran out. But it was all tagged for the Moors. Do you understand? All right, because we backed their whole debt. All right, so this is the point. They gave you what you would call original duplicate, but you don't have the original instruments. They never give the original instruments. The original instruments, look at Christian black codes. Christian black codes. The hospital and the state work together. The hospital has the original birth certificate. They bond it to the state and they get paid for that. That's how they build these new buildings. You ever notice how they can build all these expensive buildings over and over again? These buildings like, whoa! I mean, well, look at Philadelphia. Look at like Children's Hospital all around there. It's literally a city. That's literally a city. You know, these people don't know they're built off of bonds. That's on them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our concepts of what money is, how finance is transferred in the North is totally wrong. They're all bonds. And you're the bonded one. Lately, they've been bonding some Europeans. That's why they're angry, because they know the real history. You see, some of this information is being exposed by Europeans because the middle class is being thrown under the bus. Because they're on their last leg. Because the nations of the world are turning against Babylon. Letting her burn. Do you understand? But Black Babylon is the United States Corporation Service Company that's been imposturing for these last couple hundred years that these people have been thinking are legitimate government. And they've been paying for their own demise, slavery, and genocide. Anybody can look up Margaret Sanger and they'll find out the real job of their local reverends. It's documented. Europeans boast about it because he already know that we won't deal with facts. That's why Reverend Jones can get $60 million airplanes and stuff to go pass the word. You know, I'm serious. These people have no idea of real politics.
Then I was told that you can't do the original due to the fact that the Crown own it, the copyright, the rights to it.
That's the whole point. That's how they run the world. So, you know, it's like this. It's our naivety, and this is why I got to remind people to understand fundamental governmental operations. See, they can give you a story that sounds so smooth. Yeah, if I do this, if I bite the apple, it's a candy apple. You know, it's the shiny one. They got rid of the rotten apples that way. Anyway, you know, when you understand the rule, if you understand this rule, that's why I always put that out there, because people get caught up in the beautiful and artful rhetoric of claiming the man of straw or getting control of the man of straw. Whether it's HMOs they used to do about 30, 35 years ago, site drafts, certificates to the Department of Transportation, then UCCs, then financial statements, now the birth certificate. All of them's trying to get a hold of that global world trust that most people don't even know this history, but they keep on trying to get their hands in this global world trust. And if you ask them how this stuff started, half of them don't even know. They couldn't even give you the history, but they're going to tell you what the CUSIC number is. They're going to tell you about this bottomless pit account that they're going to get a hold of. You understand? When the world is running on these bonds on you, they're not giving you original nothing. So once you understand that when you're trying to make these claims, what you're saying in law, and what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with you trying to do it. So don't misunderstand. You're not wrong in trying to capture what is rightfully yours. You're trying to say in law, I am holder in due course to the estate in question. That's what you're saying. Whether it's property, land, house, etc. You're saying, I am holder in due course, because you must be holder in due course to have standing or argument as a claim. This very principle that I'm telling you is the principle on which people who understand this counter so-called mortgage companies and so-called law officers that are foreclosing on their homes. They don't start arguing the amount. They say that lawyer, claim guy, who has no license, is claiming to be holder in due course, and he's representing a third party. So he's a third party interloper, for one. And he's not holder in due course of the original mortgage and the promissory note, which must never be separated. Can he present that for evidence right now? And if he can't present it for evidence, you tell that magistrate to squash it, because the argument's over then. If you start arguing the other issue, you're falling into the game. Because if you're not holder in due course, you have no claim. Those who understand what I'm telling you now are those who went after them so-called mortgage companies, and that's why the MERS thing that when you say it was all claim on fraud, based on what I just now told you right now, because they weren't holder in due course. So what happens if you start arguing all these other details? You're into the argument because you're thinking you want to go somewhere. You're not going anywhere with it. If you're not holder in due course, you have no argument. If you understand that principle, be holder in due course. Am I correct? But you already know they ain't going to give you the instrument, so you know it's not going to happen that way. So therefore what? You claim heirship. You're the geographically, see that? Geographically defined American states and the American state citizens. So go into your older dictionaries and you find that the true Americans are the copper-colored people. That's your copper paper bag test. At what point y'all didn't know this? But these people keep on trying to get a benefit without being themselves. Because every man, every woman, and every child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. And we keep trying to get the benefit without honor of our forefathers. Well, it's not going to happen. It may be rough, and I know it's rough, but it's not complicated. It's just that these people are held in dishonor. That's why they tag black. That's no identity. That's a tag. And they have nothing to do with tone or complexion of skin. It's legal status. That's why you always say black according to science means death. He's not talking etymology, he's talking legal status. This is where the Dungy case comes in that we talked about. Go ahead, bro.
Those who are out of their nominagia, those who genuinely have woke up and claimed their inheritance, but if they've been in nominagia, paying into social services or social security and taxes, that they have no business.
Well, you tell them to send your stuff back.
So there is a recourse.
Well, I'll show you something in a minute. I'll show you something in a minute. As a matter of fact, I wish Rick was here. I'm going to ask him to come down and spend about 20 minutes telling you all. But anyway, let's read these last two paragraphs, and I'll go to Rick's envelope and show you something. We know that the current circumstances, we're talking about the crap that's been going on, all right? Remember, it's the Pope. We know that the current circumstance is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago. That's a rough number, and he's really talking about the coup d'etat. Are we clear? Which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels backing U.S. government debt in wake of the Civil War. How come your black leaders won't tell you that? They keep telling you, you gotta make them understand that we're somebody. We like peanut butter sandwiches too. All God's children, no matter what color they are, don't even know that that's a fraud. They talk you right into that 14th Amendment debt, agreeing to be somebody that you're not. Meanwhile, they're getting paid off. Anyway, so, excuse me. Despite every act of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been the policy of the U.S. government, to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American states' citizens that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. Attachments, civil orders, Anna Maria Wilhelmina Sahana Sophia Ritzinger von Ritzenstein van Letlow Verbeck, private attorney in service to His Holiness Pope Francis, documents related. The United States isn't a country, it's a corporation, the hidden Vatican Crown Empire. So they got to tell you because you don't believe it. Now you understand why Durali set up the old Canine Temple for the restoration of your estate? And then people who've been trying to hide this information keep telling you he made up some kind of religion, when he's really talking about the restoration of your estate. This is also what Malcolm found out, and when he couldn't sell out, they killed him. It's also what Khalid found out a couple years ago, they killed him too, when he started telling these people that they're Moors. You know, and it goes on and on and on. Now, give me a minute, I'm going to show you Rick's folder.
While you're going to Rick's folder, American Dictionary of the English Language,
yes, I'll tell you, bluntly.
1828.
Yes.
American is a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
So the one is denotated and the other is connotated. Now this is a mens rea, and this was sent by Rick to the representatives. Let me see what I have down here. I'm going to pull up down the bottom. Now those of you who know Rick know that they had foreclosed on one of his properties in Florida. He sent this mens rea, and though the property was foreclosed for a couple of years, court told the bankers and the law firm, whatever you did, you must reverse it, and they reversed the foreclosure. And this was just this past year, a couple of months ago. They brought me the instrument to show me that. Now with Rick, it's wasn't too hard to talk with Rick because Rick is Chinese, you know, but he got an EO too. You know, because you know, when somebody's national, it's not hard for them to understand this information. It's hard to make our people understand because they're used to calling people crayons. And it's like dealing with a child, trying to educate them quickly so they can claim this. They don't know what a state is. You know, they only have beliefs. They only deal with beliefs. They don't deal with facts. And that's been our training. So it's difficult to deal with people who don't deal with facts and deal with reality because they're in an illusion. And they have this artificial sense of security that doesn't exist. And they're persistent with it too. And then you get their butts kicked and they want to talk about the devil did it. You know, I'm serious. Well, it's just the training. That's what we do. But anyway, let me see. This is one of the instruments that Rick sent. Now, the direct instrument, the most recent instrument, I had that in type form, but I don't have it in this file. But read this out. I want you all to read this out. Go ahead.
Too small.
No, it's not too small.
Take further notice that any past, present, or future losses or injuries against me or any associated with any past or present. Wait a minute. Am I right?
That's a representative of the IRS that they were after his account. I'm not going to rest though.
Associated with any past or present actions committed by you. Allison Singler colluded with your partner, Cheryl Cordero, including any fraud, base liens placed against my private estate, my personal identity, or against my private properties, and all unlawful visits initiated against my interests, committed by you and your associates to cause injury or loss, or to my personal private estate properties, will result in a tort lawsuit against you in your personal and private capacity. National and international law venues shall apply. The same shall be applied to the foreign, unregistered persons, agents, known as XXX, exercising cross jurisdiction and alleging authority not lawfully delegated and doing business as clerk of the court via the corporate entity styled as Mercer County Corporation, franchise of the foreign state of New Jersey Corporation, and distinguished from the legitimate New Jersey State Republic, a constitutional party member, body, politic of the Union, United States Republic.
What concept do you get from that? And remember, this is about 3 or 4 pages, but just in that little context. That's the consciousness of one who understands estate, as opposed to one, he's not arguing money. Do you understand?
You mess with my stuff and it's mine. You have no right to it.
In other words, you got to claim your estate. But you must understand that you got one. You see, if you're arguing other stuff, you're already incompetent. It's not your intention, but it's what's happening. Do you understand? Now, again, actually the latest instrument that he did, that reverse of mortgage, was actually 1 or 2 pages, was actually short, because once the concept, this is what we've been talking about for years. Yeah. If you understand the concept, it doesn't need all this. A lot of this stuff, this is one of the instruments I did years ago when he was first after his stuff. And some of you who know Rick, you know, seen the instrument where we got the IRS off him when they was trying to take his account and his business account. But the principle is the same. So you tell them all the stuff that I sent you before, guess what? Send my stuff back. You can use other phrases if you want to too. You know, all of it. You know what I mean? Because they're frauds. They're imposters and impersonators. They operate on the trained ignorance of the people who don't know the real history. And see, you even see this insert. This is from what? Franklin Delano Roosevelt's period. See? It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act of March 9, 1933. 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress in session, June 5, 1933, joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolved the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers, and departments. And is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. So when they're sending you some bill from the United States, they're imposters. They're private corporate operatives claiming authority that doesn't exist. So when you're talking about delegation of authority and you're talking about jurisdiction, understand they don't have it, they never did. They've been using force of arms, taking advantage of ignorant people who've been following their black leaders who are go-between minions and familiars, working with them, making them think that these European operators are legitimate government and they get paid off to educate your children accordingly. And so they get kickbacks, and then the Europeans rule over you with tacit acquiescence. And these people think their votes count, their votes don't count, never did. You know, and all this stuff. And it goes on, but they're going to tell you about gods and Jesuses and everything. And so even when Trump was inaugurated today, he was inaugurated into what? Private corporate United States. But he did do a signal. I caught it too. I heard it.
Did he say he's going to transfer the power?
What did Trump say when he mentioned the flag? He said the red flag.
Red.
He didn't say the red flag, but he said the red flag. You gotta pay attention. He's under pressure. Go back over his speech. He said the red flag.
He said also we're gonna transfer the power back to the people.
Yeah, he's saying that, and you already know that's not the policy, but you got when you understand world politics, even if he doesn't mean it, he gotta say it. But at the same time, if he doesn't do it, they're gonna remove him. Do you understand? But I'm telling you already, they don't intend to be honorable. I'm letting you know already. Do you understand? What he intends to do and what is done, two different things. What is done in favor of the people will be because of outside forces, not because of them. Are we clear? So any processes that they produce to promise you a restoration or restitution is just to buy time. It's just that they're in a position now that they can't buy any more time. Are we clear? But anything that they say on behalf of the people, don't believe them. But examine it. You know, don't believe him. No. When you see it, even don't believe it then.
Come on, teacher.
Don't be honest with you.
All right.
Because it's only a temporary show. You know, I was waiting for him to say Constitution for the United States. You know what I mean? That would have been the signal. But he did say the red flag. I caught that one. You know, so go back over the speech, you'll see. But understand that this is done with a consciousness of someone who understands the state. And the reason, you know, we've been doing this for years is knowing that many people, they just don't have reference points. You know, because this is actually accumulation of years of study. And most people who know this are not going to tell it to you. They're going to try to, you know, rape you, you know, make you pay for it. You know, and they're not going to tell you everything. They'll tell you processes. And then what they always do is that they mix unalienable rights into, it bleeds into the area of privilege. Right. Then they can ask for a fee. But understand, a birthright cannot be sold.
That's right.
Or transferred to another. Though a servant is worthy of his hire, it is only his service, but nothing else is, it's a birthright. This is the fine line that beings that our people really need to comprehend, so that when they get information, no matter what it is, so they can measure it correctly, they must know the line between rights and privileges. See, privileges have a fee on it because it comes under feudal law. Rights come under colonial law. It is not burdened by any lords of London or no fee of the fiefdom. The United States U.S. Corporation is a feudal law entity. The United States Constitution for the United States originally set up between the Moors and the Europeans, having a colonial character to it, which is absolutely opposite. Which is why it was necessary in 1913 for Woodrow Wilson to meet with the Jesuit order of Jekyll Island and convert the government to their hands again under the corporate entity, although they already had possession of it. Because you got to remember, Noble Raleigh set up the old Canaanite temple in 1913 for restoration of the estate and commanded that the Queen of England hold true to her duty under the treaty and the Constitution to declare the rightful heirs of the estate. Woodrow Wilson countered him, met with the Jesuits on Jekyll Island. That's what they call, you know, the, with that monster?
The beast of Jekyll Island.
The beast of Jekyll Island. Well, anyway, that's really that deal. So, Raleigh crashed that United States Corporation, and they set up another one on Puerto Rico, which is the one that just went bankrupt a couple years ago. And this is where the rest of the civilized world told them no more shells. So when you look at these different United States, you need to understand all of the United States outside of that first one you see there with the small U, all the rest of them are imposter orders since May 10th. Do you understand? And so all of those who are members of it, now you understand why they must be belong to secret societies, because they got to know the real politics in order for this thing to run. See, it's like this. When the people don't know they're under occupation, they can be led to march and pray forever, hopeful, one of these days, in the Lord's time, generation after generation after generation after generation. And all they see is death, misery, jail, drugs, and broken families. But they saved, though, see. So the rev is to keep them in that state of mind while they get sheared. And their job is to stay away from this information so you don't know how to clean your status up. See, you don't need to pray because you're being preyed upon. That's P-R-E-Y.
Come on, Tom. Teach me.
You understand? That's the truth.
Sir. Yes, sir.
You're being preyed on. Now, notice that this entry. Notice this entry. I just want to read this first paragraph, and then we'll go into something else. But we're going to go a little bit into trust. Yeah. Now, notice that in this. Right? Reference to previous notice, United States mail number, so that makes an exhibit. That's the United States mail. So now you're giving them a number, so now they're subject to mail fraud, aren't they?
Yeah.
You see? So now you use the number of your certification that you're mailing it out with, and you put that on the instrument. You see that? And so you make it an exhibit. Exhibit IRS 15-AS. Should have put 2 S's there. Anyway, from Oscar Hosang Il, heir by birthright and primogeniture and authorized representative, natural person, living, sentient, divine being, in propria persona, su juris, su heritus, in solo proprio. Woo. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ex relation, Asher Hosang, that's the transmitting utility, idiom sonus. Private estate, man of straw, transmitting utility. See how we separate them? When he's making claim. Then you never claim the address. You put it care of, because the address is not yours. If you say it's yours, you accepted the debt.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So you say care of. And they say Trenton, you say Trenton territory, tie it back to the land. Via New Jersey State Republic. You see, they say state of New Jersey State Republic. That goes back to what? The organic. Via United States Republic, North America, non-domestic, non-resident, non-subject. Via United States Mail, North America, Northwest Amexem. 2, Allison Sigler, foreign person, agent for IRS. Doing business as the foreign private for-profit corporate entity, Internal Revenue Service. 50 West Street, 12th floor, Trenton, New Jersey, Incorporated. See, you make sure you got that there. You see? Reference, the foreigner, IRS agent, Allison Sigler's unlawful visit to a private estate property, Northwest Amexem, land of the Moors, Moorish Americans, heirs by birthright. Mail communication location, corporately known as 58 Churchill Avenue, Trenton Territory, Northwest Amexem, private property in the state of Oscar Hosang Il. This written notice, mens rea, shall serve refutably to bring to fore the unlawful de facto futile trespass and unconstitutional impromptu and uninvited visit to and upon my personal private estate property on day 23, January 2, 2015 AD, transferred into Moorish calendar year, 1435. The said violation and transgression was perpetrated by the foreign person agent Allison Sigler, absent of national identity documents and absent of verifiable delegation of authority order, and claiming to be an agent operating for and out of the private foreign agency entity styled as Internal Revenue Service. The intruder also alleged to possess authority to impose herself upon my private property and estate, acting mens rea with the unlawful and threatening intent of extorting finances from me, Oscar Hosang Il, heir of my own private property and estate in solo proprio. The solo proprio means you're in your own land. Comes now Oscar Hosang Il, ex relation, Oscar Hosang that's the straw, heir in propria persona su juris, su heritus, in solo proprio, hereby makes claim of right, and present this writ affidavit of fact, disclosure, request, notice, mens rea, which shall stand as law, and serve to inform you, the foreigner, Allison Sigler, and your colluding associates, being private for-profit human trafficking foreign agents, and absent of lawful warrant, doing business under the guise of Internal Revenue Service. Furthermore, know that I, Oscar Hosang Il, am not a voluntary member of your alien, extortion-oriented doctrine of discovery formulated extortion organization. I'm not a taxpayer member of your perfidious group, nor am I in partnership with your unconstitutional feudal order. I am not supportive of nor aligned with you in acting nefariously against my own Aboriginal people, nor against my own private estate. I, Oscar Hosang Il, am not a member of and do not volunteer to be party to your contrived civil rigor mortis 14th Amendment enslavers, corpses, corporate persons, artificial entities deemed for extort. I, Oscar Hossein Ill, am in fact and in truth a living, natural living, breathing, sentient being, and contrary to any fraudulently presented claims by yourself, Alson Sigler, or by any other foreigners with whom you are colluding and acting under your doctrine of discovery, know without doubt the following. I, Oscar Hossein Ill, am a living, breathing, sentient man manifested in human flesh. I am an American national, de jure to the land. I am not a foreign European pretender at North America. I am not a fictional corporate 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. I am not an artifice corporate person. I am not and never have been the fictional entity or straw as deviously, repeatedly misrepresented by you or fraudulently claimed by other foreign European cabal immigrants, imposters, impersonators, being interloping immigrants on my land. These dissemblers are pretending, feigning, and fraudulently using offices of trust and misrepresenting with fakery to possess implied contractual debt obligations with the fictional straw man, a fraudulent construct contrived by them to support your frauds via instruments presented with fictitious names and written or structured with deliberate grammatical errors displayed in all capital letters. We don't need to go further, so So the concept that's behind this is how you got to talk to them. You don't ask them for anything, you tell them. Is when you forget that they're foreign Europeans, that's when you're in trouble. When you keep calling them white men, which means sovereign, when you keep calling them Americans, which they are not, when you keep calling them government, when they're imposters, then they take it as tacit acquiescence and execute the Christian black codes on you because you agreed to be black. Do you understand? That's why they created the Christian black codes. And they've been using our people to back their debt since the Civil War. So now the Pope had to tell you because you just didn't believe you all able. Do you understand? Now this is all, I'm just, without going through this, it's about 4 pages. Yeah. So you can see, even with the paragraphs that you see, you can understand the concept, the frame of mind. Now we have another letter from the IRS, the one that you saw before. He told me, give me all my stuff back with different explanations. Any monies, any finances, any estate, any property of value, anything, send it back to me. You understand? But conceptually, none of this stuff is, none of this stuff is not known to you. You got to conceptually get this in your heart and your mind. You got to know what's up. Now, and for those of you who don't understand this, and the black laws and black codes, Christian black codes, etc., this is where Abraham Lincoln, Black Bill, the brother's name, his nickname was Black Bill, William Dungy, married Joseph Spencer's sister. And they went slandering, calling him black and a Negro around town, which would have lost his estate, etc. So he sued for slander, but you must know the base of this case. We passed this out to some of you last week, the week before last. But let's look at the heart of the argument. Let's look at the heart of the argument. And this was 5 years before Lincoln held office. All right, so 1855. So you can understand this is not a new argument, but you need to understand that status is everything. Right. Abraham Lincoln further undermined Joseph Spencer by using humor to persuade the jury that there was reasonable doubt regarding William Dungy's race. The attorney Lawrence Weldon recalled Abraham Lincoln's statement. My client is not a Negro. It is, though it is a crime to be a Negro, because it's a number here, isn't it? No crime to be born with a black skin, but my client is not a Negro. His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor, Abraham Lincoln. Mr. Lincoln, interrupted Judge Davis, scarcely able to retain a smile. He was smirking. You mean a Moor, M-O-O-R, not Moore, M-O-R-E, O-O-R-E. That's Clifton Davis, Clifton H. Moore, who was the attorney for William Spencer. So the judge was making humor. Well, Your Honor, Moore, M-O-O-R, not Clifton H. Moore, replied Mr. Lincoln with a sweep of his long arm toward the table where Moore and I sat. I say, my client may be a Moor, but he is not a Negro. Abraham Lincoln. Of course, the suitcase was one. Status is everything. This is why they put the brands on you to steal your birthright. So many generations have passed that our people forgot their Moorish bloodline. And they actually think that they're blacks and Negroes and gave up their birthright. Are we clear? So this case from 1855 shows you there's no new argument. It also shows you what scholars already know and what everybody else already know, and why people get upset when you get this information, because what you're going to do when you start declaring your nationality starts killing them T-bonds. This is why the nations of the earth are dumping them, because they're worthless. They're only valuable to them as long as you acquiesce to the brands. So that's why, again, why the Pope is telling you, because you just don't believe it. But at the same time, they're getting heat, so it's in their interest. Put 2 candles under their keisters. They don't need Jenny Craig. They start losing weight, they don't move. So this is what's really happening. So,
Taj, you mean tell me that letter right there? All them jokers in Washington D.C. know about that letter?
Sure.
And the day when they was talking about Trump and them, right? They talking about the other past president and the speeches they gave.
Yeah.
And they mentioned Lincoln.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ooh. This is the point. So-called leaders, Masons, scholars, all know this stuff. This stuff is not new. Is that they won't show it to their alluring believers and followers because they pay the bills. See, this is why a lot of times, when our people are so busy pointing fingers at the Europeans, and sometimes the European get tired of us marching around and taking up space and disturbing the peace, and they'll say, why don't y'all leave us the hell alone and go back to your black leaders that keep selling y'all back into slavery? Oh, he's racist. He's really talking about this. Because our people keep thinking, because these leaders keep saying Jesus and Allah, that they love them. No, there's, I wouldn't say they sell out. I say you study law and history, and you decide what they are. Now, when it gets more specific like this, when you get past supreme wisdom, and you get into Adam Chamber, you can understand why Malcolm was upset. They had him walking around calling these people blacks and Negroes, thinking that they was going to get rights and making a fool of himself. And he too had to be retaught.
That's right.
That's why the password before the assassination, what was the password, y'all?
Get your hand out of my pocket.
Now you understand what they're talking about. This is the old argument, isn't it? Now you see why when they mention Drew Ali, everybody just persimmon lips and they get all twisted and act like they don't know what's up. Oh, that's some good man. Yeah, he's making up some kind of religion stuff. Yeah, right. Talk about your lost estate. You understand? Now, so I added this because I know that most of our people, don't have law books, etc. So I added this so that you can understand concept. All right? The reader, researcher, or scholar is advised to review the foregoing synopsis of the William Dungy case, slander case of 1855 with keen consideration of the realities and facts that one's status also determines one's standing in relationship to one's estate. Thus, the spurious tags, brands, and nom de guerre, black and Negro, being pejorative and status compromising nom de guerre and misnomers, had, can, and will create serious and debilitating social and economic repercussions in relationship to William Dungy's estate. Such a damaged reputation would place all of his present and future hereditaments at risk. and subject to its escheat. So write those two words down, it's important for you to know. Hereditaments and escheat. Estate and status. And look at them all together, study them well. And you'll understand why they divert you into race and prejudice arguments, and you're arguing the wrong thing. You talk about colors and race and prejudice, and the argument is your estate. Such a damaged reputation would place all its present and future hereditaments at risk and subject to escheat. Keep in mind that the European Roman colonial unum sanctum and doctrine of discovery policies are in effect. You notice that Rich mentioned the doctrine of discovery in his correspondence? Because that's what they're operating on. It ain't attitude, it ain't prejudice, it's doctrine of discovery. That's what they've been using to claim our estates with. In effect, and upon the lands and aboriginal natural peoples of North America and the Western Hemisphere, therefore one must be aware of the past and thus of the present. Status is the standing, the state, or the condition of the person. It relates to the legal relation of the individual to the rest of the community. Status relates to the rights, the duties, the capacities, and to the incapacities which determine a person to a given class. It is a legal, personal relationship, not temporary in its nature, nor terminable at the mere will of the parties with which third parties and the state are concerned. And while the term status implies relation, it is not a mere relation. Status also means estate, because status signifies the condition or the circumstances in which one stands with regard to his property. Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Estate. Estate is the interest which anyone has in lands or in any other subject or property. An estate in lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such interest as the tenant has therein. In this sense, estate, quote unquote, is constantly used in conveyances in connection with the words right, title, and interest, and is in a great degree synonymous with all of them. Hereditaments, that's Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Hereditaments are things capable of being inherited, be it corporal or incorporeal. That includes all things, real, personal, or mixed, and includes not only lands and everything therein, but also heirlooms and certain furniture which by custom may descend to the heir together with the land at common law. Keep this in mind, y'all. Hereditaments were and are physical objects comprehended under the term land. Now notice how this, where people have been assuming what it really is. Hereditaments were and are physical objects comprehended under the term land, and were said to lie in livery, while incorporeal hereditaments existed only in contemplation of law, and were said to lie in grant and were affiliated with chattel interest. Hereditaments also includes a few rights unconnected with land, but is generally used as the widest expression of real property of all kinds, and is therefore employed in conveyance after the words lands and tenements to include everything of the nature of realty, which they do not cover. You understand? So you make no assumptions. Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. So that's ancient and modern. These principles, these are maxims of law. They have not changed. And so these things are in consideration when you're trying to make a claim of a right. When you don't know what your rights are, you ain't got them. And if you're not your proper person, you can't claim them. This is why they put their family names on you, so that whatever you buy or sell with the mark or the number of his name is state property. And this is how they've been cheating our estates forever. And the black leader's job is to keep us in the black codes. making us think they're working for our good. So, this is the etymology of black, y'all. And this is again why they say these people can't read, don't worry about it. They'll never compete. Black, the word black is an adjective. So immediately third grade, if it's an adjective, can it be a proper noun?
Nope.
No.
So it's not a person, place, thing, or idea, is it?
That's right.
Oh, all right. So black, the word black is an adjective and is of Middle English. So now you got to put a timeline on it, don't you? Mm-hmm. So Middle English origin is right in dictionaries. Linguistically and grammatically, Middle English places the word black between the years 1100 and 1500. As a means of measuring the passage of time, this equates to the timelines of the 12th to the 16th centuries. Scholars and other literate people who possess the capacity to read associate the Middle English linguistic timeline by way of the Julian calendar in the Common Era. In the history of European culture, this period of time is considered the High Middle Ages and is also called the Age of Cistercians. The etymology of the English word black is Middle English, and Middle English is derived from Old English, O-E. The word block, B-L-A-C. Both of these English words, black, B-L-A-C-K, and block, B-L-A-C, are derived from beal, B-H-E-L. The origin and true meaning of the word beal is to shine, to flash, burn, shining white, and various bright colors. 1. Beluga, from Russia, Belgium, white. 2. Philero, from Greek, phileros, having a white spot. Beal is a suffix variant form of beelbu, blue, derived from Old French, bleu, B-L-E-U, blue, B-L-U-E. Derived from Germanic, beelwas, B-H-L-E hyphen W-A-Z, blue. Beal, B-H-E-L, has various extended Germanic forms, such as bleach, derived from Old English, bleikjan, which means to make white. Bleak, from Old Norse, bleaker, which means shining and white, and is derived from the Germanic bleikos, which means shining and white, etc. Important derivatives of beal are blue, bleach, bleak, blaze, blemish, blind, blend, blonde, blank, blanket, blush, black, flagrant, and flame. So you see why they say these people can't read? So when they run around talking about black power, they talk about white power.
Black Lives Matter.
They're actually casting the spell against themselves. So now let's talk about charts. To those phrases and think they know what they're talking about, the rest of the world is laughing all the way to the bank. Meanwhile, they always talk about how they got personal phone calls with God and stuff. They have a personal relationship. I got his cell number. He got an iPad too. Called him midnight.
Yeah, tweets too.
They do. They be saying stuff like that. Arrogantly, like they got this thing covered. Nobody else got it, just us type stuff. We're full of it.
It's time.
I just want to say, man, it's a lot of scholars and famous people who make a living off of black.
Promoting the fraud. That's their 501c3 agreement. People don't believe, it's like, all they gotta do is do research. If they would just do research, they would see that these people are frauds. Please. What occurs, really what occurs is people get caught up in trying to protect the images of people they know or their leaders, not knowing that they're actually sacrificing themselves doing it. You can't defend Judas's honor and be heritable.
That's right.
What made you think that? And why do people think that? They keep defending what they know in their heart is a fraud because they see what they think is power, that they think they're going to get a benefit, but in their heart they know it's a fraud. Like the gang, was there some incident that took place that was telling me about in Philly recently, last week, or might have been, last week I stopped at McDonald's, I told Yusuf, and then Yusuf said, these guys jumped on this guy, was robbing this guy, actually up the street on 52nd Street, and he was telling them that's not a good idea, and they're going to jump on him anyway, so he shot them both. and this is how, you know, people, when the crowd is in the fraud, they make the odd person who tells the truth like he's a criminal or he's talking stupid.
Right.
You know, long as their crowd is around.
Right. Right.
You know, and as soon as they take the head of the lead wolf, everybody want to run. Talk about it, mean it.
Right.
It meant what he was doing it. Anyway, this is quitclaim deed. Now, do you mind, D? All right. This is D.
So, that's Sweetie D.
Anyway. Now, understanding what's in operation. This is principle. This is the principle of your argument. Quitclaim deed, allodial, aboriginal, paramount, clear, perfect title of conveyance. This is a statement of someone who understands what's really going on. And this is what you all must do with your properties. All right? And you won't, this is private. Now, it's not necessary to give it a number because you're not filing with them. You only put them on notice. You give it a private trust name. The deal is that whether you do an express trust, international trust, etc., that's not the issue. Is that you make the claim and make it known. If you don't make it known, tacit acquiescence, it is already in their holding. See, but by estate law, when the heir demonstrates competence and speaks up, it kills whatever instrument they have. I don't care whether they give it to you or not. See, people keep trying to capture their instruments. You can't capture them, you got to choke it. You got to make it worthless in the vault. They ain't letting you in the vault. They're not taking you to 55 Water Street and giving you no original document and pulling that stuff off the stock market and calling to Russia, India, and all around the world where they can sold these instruments with multiple signatures. Because as soon as they give you the instrument, you got a fraud. They ain't going to give it to you because they're bank bonds. And they've been drawing off of continuously. So, now her trust is Ruth DeMoor Vitus Trust. So you got to make your own name. Now, keep this in mind, I'm going to say this with qualification. Noble Raleigh, after he set up the old Canaanite temple, he set up the Moorish Temple of Science, sometimes referred to as Moorish Holy Temple of Science. And he set up a trust. And the Moorish Science Temple of America was set up for the Moors to put all their property under that trust to protect it. Of course, you had the infiltration, what's called the Great Sellout, and we don't need to go into that. You all need to know that history. And so this is why they don't teach trust law amongst the people who are actually enemies of Noble Raleigh, when they're supposed to be teaching these people constitutional principles and trust law. So those who know, you got to make up your own trust, protect yourself from those who should have done this for you and ain't been telling you. Do you understand? So this is an example, but the theme, the idea, is what you need to do. Now, what occurs is you have people making claim. What they'll do, they'll supersede and then go after people anyway to intimidate other people. But understand, the standing is made. This can be reverted at any time. Meaning that she can go in the grave, and somebody can go in the grave and says, that says D. It says 2089. That's D's grave. Go in there and go, hey D, come on. And D get up and she can sue him. Because fraud has no statute of limitations. But you gotta make the claim. You understand? You gotta make the claim. And the more people that will make the claim, the stuff stops. See, what happens is you have so few people standing for the truth that they're using force of arms to intimidate and others who don't know this real history. So people doubt because they're trying to think that you're presenting your opinion on something, as opposed to these are facts. Right. Do you understand? When the people, this is what happens. They create multiple instruments on top of the original instruments that they've already created. They only have power because no one contests. Right. If the heirs would speak up, they're worried about capturing the birth certificate. No, refute it. refute their claims. You gotta do a reversion of estate. That's why we did the reversion article. Do you understand? So your concept will be clear. You understand? All right. So anyway,
Just houses, everything, trust cars.
then we just go through hereditaments. Why are you asking? That's why I put that there. So it covers everything. But if you don't make the claim, it's already hypothecated. As an example, you came in a car. If you showed me the certificate talking about you own it, I would take you to the law book and show you that it says certificate of title. Now, a person who can't read think they got the title. Of means this is an instrument that says the title exists somewhere else, but you ain't got it. That's what it's really saying, but they know people can't read.
Right.
And it's registered to the corporate state, not to you.
Right. The deed even if it says the deed.
And then it's hypothecated and put on the stock market. That's why they can stop you and say, oh, you didn't invest in seatbelts in our car, right? And I think we'll say $25 fine and appear in court and stuff like that. And then, oh, you didn't pay Joe Balaski insurance, then take their car that you thought was yours. They got you an adhesion contract, one after another. And you talk about, this my stuff. My wheels and this. You know, good idea. And it ain't your wagon. You know, and so the deal with this, when you put it in trust, you understand you take it out from under them. See, you register it to your trust. Your bicycle, even the flat tire that you don't want, because they're going to claim that too. Everything is hypothecated. This is what you must understand. Everything, without question, is hypothecated under the unum sanctum policy. They treat it as if you're dead. Meaning they come to your house, that you think is your house, you're in it. But if they decide they want it, you're a ghost. You don't exist. In law, you're declared dead. Civil little more twos. I was living in there too, and they just walked right past me like I wasn't there. Oh, you just figured that out? It's the black codes.
Right.
See, the deal with this is stop thinking prejudice and racism and color. It's a state. It always was a state. Then you say, what's your name? I'm Joe Smith. This is my grandmom's. You Joe Smith? Dress hot. You Joe Smith? Okay. All right. You don't even exist. And you keep on talking, then you got you with contempt too. And you'll still take this off. Need you understand what's happening here? When you agree to be the brands, you tacit acquiescence. Not knowing it, tough cookies. Because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that supersedes the Constitution is between the Moroccan Empire and the United States. The original people of the land, the real heirs of the land are what? Moroccans, Moors. And if you claim to be anything else, you have no claim of a state. This is why Europeans and a lot of your sovereignty groups who perfect these different processes, when they get to the point of discharging, they may let them discharge a water bill and a couple electric bills, and then when they start claiming the houses, they say, you can't use that Constitution as a defense, you're not a party to it. Because when they agreed to be white people, they gave up their birthright too. You need to understand what's really going on. Meanwhile, the heirs, you still trying to wake them up. They like these rockheads, and it's like talking to bricks. It is. And anybody come on with any kind of process, they can sell them. They spend thousands of notes trying to get a shortcut.
See, I'm gonna get this QSIC number and stuff like that. I'm getting all the peanut butter sandwiches.
No, I don't think so. And I don't suggest you hold your breath. Because what occurs is, what you see is a lot of people sell packages. Now, if they got their hands on the global trust, they don't need no fiat. Why they need you to come with a couple thousand?
You see, if you give me 300 right now, now next week you give me 700. You know what I mean? You will get your hands on this pit of cannabis.
And you believe them. You know, it's like somebody owning the lake, their house is on the lake, right? You got all those borders saying, Well, you swim in the lake, you gotta bring 5 buckets of water. I don't see no more water. We flood every once in a while. And it's the same thing. So if anybody's really achieved that cubic number, they don't need fiat. They just need what? A draft certificate. They just sign. That's another way to tell us a fraud. They're just opportunists taking advantage of people that find out a little bit of this information and get hyped up, which is understandable, because we're all trying to get out from under the BS. You know, nobody wants this suffering to continue. But understand this. If I got the peanut butter factory, you don't need to bring a peanut butter sandwich to the factory to get in. Nobody wants to see your peanut butter sandwich. I mean, and we can't get this through these people's heads. They keep going for these games. Because it's an issue of heirship. It really is. It's an issue of heirship. So they must keep you thinking money while you're not allowed to handle money. Are we clear? You must understand this. So let's erase this real quick. And is this that ink again? No, this is erasable. No, it's just acting like a honey. Well, no, this is erasable. It's just that these things, for some reason, I think it's the Now keep in mind, for their people that got that corner parish that they bought them. You know, he might be hanging from the pole. You know, when they find out that he's the one been informing it, Rome all the time, keeps a dossier on all the people. Then now they put ATMs in the buildings. So make sure you pay them taxes. And they think that Jesus got a bank account at Chase Manhattan. Jesus ain't got nothing to do with that. That's between them and Rome. But anyway, let's go down. But the point is that you can see that the Pope is consistently separating the land from the corporation. Are we clear? But let's go down the bottom. You all can look at this. Most of y'all have this stuff anyway. You can find it on the internet. It's not hidden. Now this goes for people who are selling packages. You know, like UCC packages, and making people think they can buy their way into the Global World Trust and get their hands on this bottomless pit account. Let's see what the Pope says about the estates. And this is the non-begear transmitting utility.
So
idiom sonus
are one.
The man of straw, idiom sonus, transmitting utility, etc. Non-begear, all relating to the uppercase that they send to people on the mail.
Right.
All right, that's the idiom sonus.
Okay.
That's access to the World Trust.
Is that the estate too?
Huh?
Is that the estate, the strawman? Is that the estate?
That same thing. Idiom sonus, listen. Idiom sonus, non-begear, transmitting utility, man of straw, straw man, are all the same thing.
Okay.
It is the indicator of the Global World Trust administered by local corporate entity operators. All right? So, when they're sending mail to a house that you think is yours, that your shared property, they will have all capital letters. That will be the idiom sonus. That will be the dead at sea. All right? And so that's a declaration that when you agree to be that and start paying its debt, that's tacit acquiescence to sanctioning the Roman operators on your land. This is why the Pope is separating, making it clear to separate that. All right, now, people who know part of this history will not give all of the history. They'll tell people, you got contracts out there, so you're going to do these UCCs and dissolve these contracts and get a hold of this sovereignty. or buy your way into the global world trust and get control of this bottomless pit fund. No, you are an heir. You got to talk heirship. But guess what happens if you're not your proper person? This is where we are. Getting our people in their proper person. You don't need to pay anything. It's a birthright. And as soon as you start agreeing to these processes, you let them off the hook. That's why they put them out there. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This is why Noble Ali said to the Moors, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. It's an heirship issue. But if you don't know the history, you think, because somebody makes a beautiful argument, that you can buy it with some UCCs or financial statement. And what you do, you give them your energy, and they rape you while you're learning. Because they ain't giving up nothing. Now keep this in mind when anyone who's selling packages or buying packages. In law, keep this in mind. There is no clerk of any governmental office anywhere on planet Earth that has any authority whatsoever to release original documents to anyone. Under certain legal processes, they can afford someone who lawfully requests through a process a certified copy of some legal instrument, but they will not give up the original instruments, whether birth certificates or anything else, because they're bank bonds.
Authentic.
All right, now, yes. Now, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So now, in order to be holder in due course, which is the position that must be claimed in any estate or right of property, you must be the holder of original, allodial title, deed, mortgage, with its promissory note attached and never separated, and it must be original. And without that, you can't be a holder in due course. And if you're not a holder in due course, you have no claim. So this idea that people think they're authenticating birth certificates, again, is another time-buying fraud. Are we clear? When you understand the principle, Islam, give it a mic. Give it a mic, y'all. Give it a mic, y'all.
Islam, Brother Taj, I listened to what you just said about being a holder in due course of...
That is very important.
...of your birth certificate. But I have my original 8.5 by 11 framed birth certificate with my mother's...
No, this is what you have. This is what you have. CUSIC number, and get your hand in this bottomless pit account. You know, well, this is what I have to say about that. All these estates, small case, and estates, uppercase. See, those who know this know what they're looking at. People who don't know wouldn't even know why are they putting that there redundantly. See, he's talking about the idiom sonus, the unum sanctum. All right. All these estates and estates erroneously believed to represent the American states and the American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America, minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United Nations, are revenued without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens, where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries, i.e. the true Americans distinguished from the corporate Americans who've been occupying the land. So you got to know the difference. This is why they must get you to sign papers and say you're a U.S. citizen because you just accepted the debt. Do you understand? When there is no debt. You got to understand this. Now, all legal fiction entities, however structured, so that means all the idiom sonus, man of straw, non-legier, transmitting utilities, however format they structure them in. Here we go. All legal fiction entities, however structured and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, tax, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf, quote unquote, by officers of the United States of America, Incorporated, small case, and the United States Incorporated, uppercase, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America, minor, or the United Nations city-state falsely claiming to, quote unquote, represent them or have jurisdiction over them. Are we clear? Because it can't be bought, because it's an estate, it's an inheritance, it can't be sold, it's unalienable. So people know that people who don't understand real politics make them think that you can buy that. Okay. What you have is a secondary instrument. They have the original. They
okay, well I have the one from 19...
Now just think this.
That's 55.
This is what occurs. This is what occurs. They take the original certificate, and it's also called a birth record. So they take the birth record and they do a chart. So it's an automatic. So they do a chart, which is what you actually should do. So do the chart according to Circle 7. Circle 7 is the zodiac operations of the womb. Okay. And so with the time your mother gave you birth, location, they'll look at the moon, they'll look at the ascendant, they'll do a chart, and then they'll use that chart against you when they attack you in the future.
Oh, so they do a natal chart, right?
We're talking civilization. We ain't talking about what people believe. We're talking about real workings, how things really work. They will never give you the birth record. They give you a birth certificate. A certificate is a sale instrument. People, this is why we got to tell people what law is.
Mine does say record.
Yeah, well, good. But I'm just saying, the birth record is not a birth certificate. People need to understand a certificate is a note for sale. Now, this is the deal. When they first create the instruments, see, and this is even more particular attention is paid to it after 33, after Franklin Delano. See, because remember, after Drew Ali crashed the United States Corporation before, Delano Roosevelt set up another United States shell. And then he backed that one with the birth certificates. That's when that took place in 33, you see. And so they've been paying close attention to that, even more so after 33. So there is no instrument of anyone that their mother gave birth after 33 that is not bonded and on the stock market. They do it to their own because they ran out. But it was all tagged for the Moors. Do you understand? All right, because we backed their whole debt. All right, so this is the point. They gave you a what you would call original duplicate, but you don't have the original instruments. They never give the original instruments. The original instruments, look at Christian black codes. Christian black codes. The hospital and the state work together. The hospital has the original birth certificate. They bond it to the state and they get paid for that. That's how they build these new buildings. You ever notice how they can build all these expensive buildings over and over again? These buildings like, whoa! I mean, well, look at Philadelphia. Look at like Children's Hospital all around there. It's literally a city. That's literally a city. You know, these people don't know they're built off of bonds. That's on them.
When they say Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
it's a fraud. So you see that of,
right.
No, as soon as you see that of, which is a preposition,
right,
which means a substantive connector. But understand in that context, just like you would say the Constitution for the United States is the organic. Right. Constitution of the United States was adopted by the operatives of the corporate entity after they murdered Lincoln for exposing this stuff and for bankrupting that United States Corporation company in France, which he ran on because being a lawyer, he could not run for the president of the organic United States because of fatwa or Moorish law, because the Constitution comes from Muslim law, which Obama told you when he went to Egypt. So you got to understand, because the barristers of England have been enforcing the secret Treaty of Verona, by Constitution, organic Constitution, this is the original Article of Amendment 13 with what is called the Nobility Clause, that they only give in secret societies, but they don't give in schools. This is where lawyers cannot hold an office in the United States. So Lincoln was run on the United States Service Corporation in France that Benjamin Franklin had set up in 1754 to later deal with the blending of the Union. All right, that's the agreement between the Moors and the Christians to set up a political system as a beacon light for the rest of the civilized world to stop the hundreds of years of wars between the Muslims and the Christians. That's what the United States organic really was. This is the reason why when you see, George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, that's the Moorish flag. That's the red flag with the 5-pointed green star. It's called the cherry tree. You understand? So that's what the overthrow. And George Washington converted our estates into the states. That's why he was given the designation father, although he was actually the 9th president. You got to know the real history, distinguished from what you've been told in the school systems. But once you know these things, this stuff is pretty simple to figure out. You just got to give people reference points. Once they give you the reference points, or many people get them in secret societies, they're not going to tell because they got death oaths. But for people who know the real history can talk, that's not bound by death oath. But this stuff is researchable. It's not, anybody that dig deep enough, they can find it. But, you're not going to get it openly. They're not going to talk about this stuff openly. Because, some of the first people that might be hanged from the local telephone pole is the so-called spiritual guy that they thought is working